Whispers of the Mothman. The small town of Bridgewood sat nestled in the shadow of Riven Ridge, an isolated mountain crag that towered above the valley floor like a silent sentinel. Its jagged cliffs and dense forests were draped in thick mists, leading the townsfolk to believe that something seethed just beyond the veil of fog. The legend of the Mothman had haunted their dreams for generations, an omen of grief and misfortune that manifested in the form of a great, winged creature with glowing red eyes. 18-year-old Lucy Harper had heard the tales countless times, a mythical guardian or a harbinger of doom, depending on who you asked. Most dismissed it as a myth, harmless lore passed down on chilly autumn nights. But Lucy's curiosity was insatiable. With her friends Emma and Jake, she frequently explored the woods surrounding their town, yearning for adventure and treasure hidden in the lore. One Friday evening, they descended deeper into Riven Ridge than ever before, fueled by the thrill of the unknown. The sun dipped behind the horizon, sprawling shadows entwining themselves with the trees as they made their way to an old abandoned cabin. Tales claimed it once belonged to a recluse who had attempted to commune with the Mothman, but after his mysterious disappearance, it was left to rot. "It's the perfect spot for a scare," Jake laughed, nudging Lucy playfully. "What if we find some old relic he left behind?" As twilight settled in, the air turned thick with an unsettling silence. It was then that they spotted the cabin, its windows shattered and the door hanging ajar, creaking ominously in the wind. Inside, the atmosphere was stifling. Dust motes danced in the beams of their flashlight as they rummaged through the remnants of a forsaken life. Ancient books covered in cobwebs, cracked photographs faded to obscurity, and dilapidated furniture all spoke of a time long past. Lucy's heart raced when she stumbled upon a collection of journals bound in fraying leather. "I bet this stuff has some wild stories," she exclaimed, flipping through the pages. The scrawlings were frantic, detailing encounters with a creature that lurked in the dark, watching the town, weaving in and out of shadows. A chill ran down her spine as she read accounts of sightings, the glowing red eyes piercing the veil of night, the soft rustle of wings drowning out the sounds of nature. There was a sudden crash from outside, like something large had fallen through the trees. Lucy gasped, adrenaline surging through her veins. "Did you hear that?" Jake and Emma nodded, eyes wide. "Maybe we should go." Emma trailed off, her voice wavering. But their instincts for adventure overruled their fear. The trio quietly gathered near the boarded-up window, peering out into the encroaching dark. The forest was a stretch of shadows, but the air felt charged, almost alive. Just then, Lucy noticed movement to her right. She turned her head, and for a fleeting moment, she saw it. A massive figure perched upon a branch, wings unfurled like a tattered cloak, the unmistakable glow of red eyes piercing through the darkness. "Guys, look," she whispered urgently, but when they turned, the figure was gone. The sensation of something watching them lingered, heavy and palpable. "We should leave, now," Emma insisted, her voice tight with urgency. They swiftly made their way toward the door, but as they stepped outside, the air turned ice cold, the eerie silence intensifying. Suddenly, a rustling erupted from the trees, accompanied by a terrible screech that pierced through the night like shards of glass. White-hot fear engulfed them. The Mothman was real. Jake grabbed Lucy's hand, his grip frantic as they bolted toward the path they had come from. But the woods seemed different now. Shadows danced and shifted as if they were alive, closing in on their escape. Every step felt heavier, and the darkness around them pulsed with a terrifying energy. As they ran, Lucy couldn't shake the feeling of being pursued. She glanced over her shoulder and saw it, a hulking silhouette, wings beating against the wind. It didn't move like a bird, it floated, gliding effortlessly through the trees, its eyes glowing brighter with each step. The tales played through her mind. The Mothman's sightings were always followed by tragedy. Panic surged, and Lucy suddenly stumbled, falling to the leaf-strewn ground. Jake and Emma paused, and just as they turned back, the creature loomed over Lucy, its massive wings casting an ominous shadow that swallowed the moonlight. She felt her breath hitch, fright gripping her heart. In that moment, an understanding washed over her. The Mothman wasn't just a creature of darkness. It was the embodiment of fear itself, the unknown that lurked in the fringes of their reality. With a surge of survival instinct, she scrambled to her feet, and as they all ran, Lucy felt a weight lift slowly from her heart. They burst into the clearing as the dawn began creeping over Riven Ridge. Behind them, the silhouette dissolved into the mist, the creature's presence fading with the first rays of sunlight. Panting and gripped by an invisible tether of adrenaline, they stumbled into town, the world painfully bright in the morning glow. They vowed never to speak of that night, the terrifying truth hidden in their hearts. But as Lucy lay in bed that night, eyes wide open, she couldn't shake the feeling that the Mothman would keep watching, its uncanny presence intertwining with the very fabric of Bridgewood. The shadows were alive, and she was one of many who had caught a whisper of its wings.